Good.
Hmm.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are live, and I am joined by a gentleman that I hold in high esteem and high regard. This is a phenomenal young brother that I had the opportunity to meet on Clubhouse. I mean, Clubhouse is just absolutely amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a conversation with I am your humble host, Floyd Marshall, and today I'm joined by my brother in arms, Voravong Nachampassak. Now, I heard something very interesting listening to another interview with you about your last name, but we're going to get to that.
Hmm.
But Vorvan, welcome to a conversation with how you doing, my brother? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
I'm great, Floyd. Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor, a blessing, and a pleasure.
So let's get this thing started because I know you're a busy man and I don't want to monopolize too much of your time because, ladies and gentlemen, this is brothers and newlyweds. So, we got to let him get back to the important business of being a husband. So tell us how you got started in this business because you have some things going on, but I'd like for you to tell everyone exactly how you got started in this
Oh
film
man.
business.
Um, like how did I get started? Well, like everybody, not saying everybody, but to me, a career in film was honestly far fetched. I didn't even think about the possibility until I think it was in like 2012. Amazing Spider-Man filmed in my hometown of Rochester, New York, and they were looking for background extras. So I was on a whim. I was just like, you know what? Let me apply. Let's see how far it goes. And lo and behold, I got accepted, and it was pretty cool. So one thing about um, like background work, since Rochester is not a major film hub, they require a set amount of people to be paid as union or considered union, which
Hmm.
is why they tap partly people in order to get their union. I guess you could say union vouchers. I was blessed enough to procure six while I was working in that production for 2 weeks. Yeah, no, 2 weeks. I've heard horror stories about people looking for vouchers for like a long time and
Yeah.
never receiving them. Yeah, but I was like, yeah, I got six in that one production all over the 2 weeks, and I was like, you know what? All right, that's I was blessed. The pay was good. The pay was dope, and the people were really cool. So that was my first ordeal with film, and yeah, that's honestly how I got started into the industry.
So you say, hey, I'm just going to apply. You do background work, and you're SAG eligible just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
Wow. So
Hmm.
take us through your career because we're going to get to the very important part because you are the co-founder of an absolutely amazing app, but I want to get to that a little later. So you do the background work, and then what happens after the background work?
Uh, honestly, for the next 5 years, I didn't do anything with it.
Hmm.
I was actually working in the restaurant industry. I was about 25 years old at the time. Kind of finding my way through life, honestly.
Right.
Um, I was just uh, searching for my purpose, and I moved to Toronto shortly after that. And I tried my hand doing more film work up there, applying for other background gigs and working on set as a CA as well. And it was cool, but you know, money speaks. Money talks in this world, and unfortunately, I wasn't getting enough um, film gigs to kind of supplement the income that I needed to survive in a city like Toronto. So I
Mhm.
moved back to Rochester, and then eventually from there, I was like, you know what, F it. Um, I met a girl. I moved to New York City, and I pursued a career in stunt. Yeah, so I took advantage of all those vouchers that I procured, and I, I signed up for SAG, and then I became a stunt performer. From
So wait a
yeah,
minute. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. So Was that ever something that was in your wheelhouse, where you went from doing background to possibly wanting to act and then saying to yourself, well, I want to do stunts? How did that happen?
Honestly, it wasn't in my wheelhouse. Truth be told, I had what you would call 1,001 uses talent. I have a background in b-boying, dance, gymnastics, tumbling. I used to teach acro and uh, tumbling for cheerleaders, and I I just like put all those skills together, and I was like, you know what? Let me give this stunt life a try. And I was blessed enough to meet people that were already established in the industry, and they gave me some good insights. So I was able to pursue a career in stunts. But like to be honest, is not something that I really considered or even thought was possible.
Mhm. So what have you worked on to date? Because I know you've worked
Today,
on some stuff.
yeah. Today I worked. I worked Iron Fist. I worked on a couple of the Marvel series. I did Gotham. I did what's the most recent one? FBI's Most Wanted. I did uh, yeah, and a few other indies
Wu Tang.
as well. Wu Tang. Yeah, yeah, that's right. How can I forget guys? Yeah, Wu Tang. And yeah, that was it's it's been interesting. I love the culture. I love the people, and I absolutely love the hustle. The fact that you have to train every single day, or keep in mind that you are preparing to put not necessarily like well potentially your life on the line, and you're preparing for a job that you have to be conscious on all different levels because you're not just responsible for yourself; you're responsible for others as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I was listening to a podcast. Oh, this brother's name escapes me, but we've been on stage with him in some rooms, and he was actually interviewing a performer. And unbeknownst to me, I knew there were different performers, but I thought that the same guy that jumped off the building was the same dude that was doing all the sick stuff driving the cars. I didn't know that there were basically different stunt people that specialized in one particular thing. Like he was saying, you have performers that they only do drifting in cars. That's their lane. And then you have the ones that do the fighting. I was under the impression that you guys kind of basically, you know, crossed crossed over and did other things. So exactly what is your specialty in the stunt world?
Falling, firearms, uh, fighting.
Okay.
Like I was just taking a lot of skills. That's my
Okay.
specialty.
Okay. So they wouldn't be like your Voravong. Can you like, do a 380 in this car right here? That's not your lane,
Not no. We can train for it. We
right?
can prepare for it. And eventually, if that's something that anybody else or I want to do, there are resources available to us to pursue those avenues.
Okay.
You know, stunts are all about skills,
Okay.
and the more skills you have under your belt, the more viable and more applicable you're going to be to production and the stunt coordinator who's
Mhm.
going to hire you. Again, uh, sometimes you only get one chance, sometimes you get a couple, uh, but you want to make every single chance count because one, production is not cheap; it's expensive because every single time you do a take and you have to do it over, that's going to cost you anywhere between like depending on the kind of production it is, anywhere even up to I would say like $35,000 depending on the special effects that was set up.
Wow.
Just because that, yeah, it's pretty like even above that. I'm 35,000. It's just like the number of the price of the gag that I had to do, and which was like just a couple of explosions, bullets, little holes, and everything. But you have to take into mind the footage of the camera. You know, like they're gonna have to reset the lights. They're gonna have to like it's just time. Time is money.
Okay. So preparation for something like that. How far in advance, let's say for instance, if you guys are doing a group scene, how far in advance are you and the other star performers getting together to actually choreograph that scene before you step foot on the set?
Ooh, let's use Wu Tang for example. It was about in the show. It was about like a 3 minute to 4 minute gag. It was like a, it was like how do you say? It was a homage to the old Chow Yun Fat movies. You know, like and it was there's a shooting scene in a church, but the elements that went into it were explosions, wires, lots of rounds, lots of high falls, people falling off of ledges, and to put all that together, the amount of time we rehearsed was about 3 days for about roughly 8 to 10 hours a day. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
For
for that
for
little piece.
for a 5 minute scene.
hmm For a 5 minute scene.
So now where do you go to school for that? Or is there actually an academy where you can actually train to be a stunt person?
Um, I wouldn't say there's like full-fledged academies. I mean, there's people that have established stunt schools or training, that do that whole training seminars. Stunt listing is a great resource for people uh, that are in stunts, um, whether to find performers or coordinators or people that could potentially be perfect for the role. They hold seminars and they hold educational sessions for stunt performers. But there's a lot of groups like that all across the United States, all across the world actually. But the most important thing is uh, knowing who to talk to, build relationship building.
Okay.
It's like everything in film. Filmmaking is a collaborative effort, and stunts is no different.
Okay. And that's a beautiful thing. And it kind of leads me to my next question. The fact that you mentioned relationships because you're the co-founder of an amazing app called CrewMeUp. So I know some people are like, well, what's that about? So explain exactly what CrewMeUp is, and then uh, how did that actually come into existence? Because there was an interesting story behind that.
Um, so let me give you the tagline. CrewMeUp is a mobile app bridging the gap between uh, crew looking for work and crew looking to hire. So we we connect production to available crew and production resources. Honestly, the origin story started much longer before I came into the picture. It started with my co-founder, Josh Friedman, who was the second DGA, second AD. He's a producer, um, and the idea conceptualized from him. I think it was back in 2000 and I think late 2000. That's when he started his film career. He worked as a background PA. He wrote a book called Getting It Done: The Ultimate Production Assistant Guide, and which was actually a foundational book for the Made in New York program.
Hmm.
Yeah, it taught PAs how to, just try to hold themselves, conduct themselves on set, and it was definitely an invaluable resource at the time because not a lot of people were doing it. And the app and idea of CrewMeUp came and conceptualized out of a need. Josh was working on a set on a movie he was producing called Warning Shot and had to fire his gaffer. He was shooting that in Texas. It was produced by him. It was featuring David Spade and James Earl Jones. Fired his gaffer. Didn't know who to call in Texas, so he had to fly somebody out in LA or somebody out from New York.
Hmm.
Had he been in LA, had he been in New York, Atlanta, he would have had the resources to cover that position. But because he wasn't, he had to suck it up and fly somebody out from home. And that is when the idea came to fruition. So, out of a need, um, being able to find resources in areas that uh, you're not from, or you're not familiar with. I think that was the, the most foundational idea of the app.
Okay. So then how did you end up getting involved with Crew Me Up? How did that happen?
Oh man, um, I got involved. So like I was saying before, I was training stunts, and on my journeys, I was training at this facility called Brooklyn Zoo. My friend, or a mutual friend of Josh's and I, owns it. His name is Geronimo Frias, and I get to talking to him about his experience as an entrepreneur, what he's got going on, um, and he said, I asked him, "Yo, how many things you got going on at the same time?" He's like, "Oh, I got Brooklyn Zoo, I got I got this going on. I also have an app called CrewMeUp that I'm a part that I'm an investor in."
Hmm.
And he's like, I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And at the time, I was working for a startup. So when I'm at that point, I was already 4 years living in New York, and I was working as a courier. I worked for multiple logistics companies, and I worked for this one logistics company called Gesture, which is a gift delivery app that's available nationwide now. But at the time, the CEO and founder was a good friend. He's a good friend of ours. His name's Ben Labro. He also ran a incubator and what's it called? Help companies build apps. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. So to connect the pieces, I got to talking to Geronimo, and I was like, hey, oh, that's cool. You guys have an app. Do you know what language is coded in it? And I tried to get to talking to him about tech. He was like, no, I had no idea about that, but let me introduce you to my co-founder.
Hmm.
With, like, and he introduced me to Josh, and from there, that's pretty much history. So
Oh wow.
it's all about who you know. Yeah.
Yeah. See that's the beauty of relationships and building relationships because of the fact that you knew Geronimo. Geronimo introduces you to Josh. You and Josh hook up and really create something amazing. Members, let's talk about that a little bit because so often one of the hindrances to a lot of independent filmmakers is finding crew, but more importantly, finding good crews. So exactly how does the Crew Me Up app work, and how does that help filmmakers?
Um, how the CrewMeUp app works. So it's building relationships. What we did initially was the same thing everybody else did. Staff Me Up, Mandy.com. It's building a database, uh, but how we approached it was building relationships with community. Um, the way that we find jobs in this industry is through Facebook groups, Craigslist ads, like and just all these other offshoot websites. So you know, CrewMeUp, the way that we're different is we kind of we build relationships. Point blank, it's all about relationships. Josh has been in the industry for over 10 years,
Mhm.
um, even though I have not been in it long. Um, the relationships I built were invaluable. And using that as a foundation, we, what's it called, build relationships with nonprofit organizations. We build relationships with, filmmaking groups on Facebook, and we help as many people as we can.
Mhm.
The way CrewMeUp works is through these communities, we let people know, hey, we're CrewMeUp, we're here to support. How can we serve you? And that is where we offer our services, whether it's connecting people um, to each other, to crew, people they're looking for, um, or resources. So that's how we honestly been first beginning building our community. So what we did is just build off of all these little communities and seeing if we can connect them to the resources that they need to either make their projects happen or connect with people that can help them elevate and just move forward.
So if I'm looking for someone, how would I go about doing that? Say, for instance, I needed someone that does sound. How would I go about doing that using your app?
So using CrewMeUp, all you have to do is go on to the home screen where if you're signed on as a Groovy. And as soon as you go in there, you can browse uh, and see who's available. You'll get to see. Uh, we had in our 1.0, we have our filters. You can search by filters. You can search by location. You can search by job department, and you can look specifically for exactly the person that you're looking for.
Okay. So now everyone, because I've actually checked the app out, is pretty involved. Everyone on the app, how do you guys vet people on this app? Because there's a lot of people on that app. So how do you guys go
Mhm.
about vetting everyone to make sure that when they do um, get hired, that they're not somebody that's going to screw it up?
Oh yeah. So the way that we, for now, the way that we vet people, we allow them to connect their website, upload their IMDb, and connect their PDF upload of their resume.
Hmm.
So you could check what jobs they work, who they work for, and all that. You can check their IMDb credits. That's available. But um, as I don't think I've mentioned this before, but the way 2.0 works, which we recently soft launched, and it's going to be available for everybody,
Nice.
uh, will be it'll work with connections. Who you're connected
Hmm.
to. You can see, yeah. So like LinkedIn, you know, like uh, like Facebook, you can see who this person is affiliated with.
Nice. So now, is this something that's totally free to everyone, or is there a paid subscription to this?
Absolutely free. We do not charge anybody.
So basically, if you're a filmmaker,
Hmm.
now I take it this is nationwide.
Nationwide, correct.
Okay, so if you're a filmmaker and you're looking to find you everybody that is anybody as far as a crew is concerned, the only thing that they would really need to do is upload your app and take it from there.
Yeah. Just build a profile. Obviously, the more you can fill it out, the better. You
Okay.
want to be as specific as possible. Um, that goes for any other platform. Doesn't matter if it's ours. Doesn't matter if it's anybody else. Make sure you fill out your profile to the most optimized possible. This is important. If you want people to find you, you gotta do everything you can to up your
Right.
odds.
Right.
Mhm.
So, but because we're dealing with people, have you guys run into a situation yet where someone actually used someone from the app and had problems? So now how do you guys handle that? Say for instance, if someone hires crew and uh there's a falling out or it doesn't work out. Now, do
Mhm.
you guys actually ban people from the app if for lack of a better word, if they act out?
Oh no, no, no. That's but that's not something that we do. We keep it. We're just a connector
Right.
for the most part. And the way the industry works, if that person is as bad as one says, then word will get out eventually.
True that.
You know how this industry is. But we hope that anybody that is in the industry and is out to kind of here for the right reasons, building relationships, and um, work towards the betterment of the community is is has that sense of integrity.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
an integrity basis.
Okay. So you've partnered with this organization that I'm also working with, Women of Color Unite, Cheryl L. Bedford. So
Mhm.
now, how did that come about? Because exactly what are you guys doing together? Because I saw the billboard in Times Square. So
Mhm.
exactly what are you guys doing together? I was always curious about that.
Um, honestly, we we love Cheryl. We love Women of Color Unite. We love what it stands for. And um, we came up so to address the billboard, we came across the opportunity to uh, to have CrewMeUp on a billboard. But to be frank, we felt it was not really our place because that's the way filmmakers frequent. You know, like how many filmmakers I mean, unless they're shooting content, are in are in Times Square.
Mhm.
So it makes no sense for us to kind of have a billboard in that sense. But what we really wanted to do, and what Josh and I were thinking was that you know what we could we can do some good and highlight the nonprofit organizations that we're affiliated with and bring light to them, as opposed to like just keeping the limelight on ourselves, which doesn't do us any good. So that's what we did. So we took Women of Color Unite, you know, in partner with CrewMeUp, and we put the billboard together, and our friend did just that for us. They ran for 7 days, 6 minutes, 6 times every 10 minutes, and it was just a beautiful thing. The way that we work together, we support. We honestly support one another, and Cheryl is doing God's work, doing honorable work, and we want to make sure that we do everything we can to bring awareness and attention to that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful organization, and I have the honor and the privilege of being a mentor to some dynamic and outstanding young women. I'm actually going to see a couple of them next week because I'm flying out to LA for a film festival. So I'll get to actually see the entire crew for the first time. I am extremely excited about that. But that brings me to my next thing that we're working on right now, which is, I guess, for lack of a better word, the baby of Women of Color Unite, if I could say that, Men of Color Unite, and it's just an honor, first of all, to have been considered. It was a kind of a shock when I got that text from you, and I was like, "Who, me? Okay." But
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, Floyd.
yeah, that's what when you sent that, I was like, "Wow!" And you said it was a no-brainer. I'm like, "Okay, well, if he thinks so, then I'm going to go. I'm going to rock with it. I'm not going to disagree with Voravong. He's pretty smart." But let's talk about Men of Color Unite and what the mission of Men of Color Unite is.
Um, the mission of Men of Color Unite.
I know we're still
Um,
we're still kind of new, so you just kind of got that all together. So if you don't get it
no, no,
100% right, it's good.
of course, of course. So Men of Color Unite. Let me see. It's a social action organization focusing on fair access, fair treatment, and fair pay for men of color in the film and entertainment industry.
That's pretty much all of
Yeah,
it.
is that all right?
You did okay. You did okay. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is still very new, so we're learning. We're still learning, how we're going to talk about this. But explain the importance of that, what you
Hmm.
just talked about, the fact that it's an organization that is geared toward equal access for men of color in this industry.
Hmm. Well, we know that in this industry, there's a huge disparity between, um, let's see, the people that are provided opportunities, the people that get hired, um, discrepancies between pay. There's levels to this, and it's a complex. It's a complex. I mean, it shouldn't be like something as how do you say, something that should be so common,
Mhm.
so
Normal.
yeah, so normal. It's like why are we fighting for this again? Why do we have to speak about this? It's because this is the reality, and the reality is a lot of people that are in the positions they are right now, nepotism. There's a lot of colorism, and there are a lot of people being passed up for opportunities just because of either where they're from, the color of their skin, and that is something that is a reality to a lot of people in this country, and the things that we want to address, like there's questions and there's things that are said in this industry, like, oh, we can never find enough diverse crew in this industry. Um, but then even if they find those diverse crew, what happens when they're not qualified to take those positions? You know what I mean? And then that becomes a question of the accessibility of educational resources. That's that's something that we want to address. That's something that we want to make sure uh, we advocate and we fight for, and we're able to provide.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's go back to what it is that you do on both fronts with the stunt work and with Crew Me Up, because I've watched a lot of films, um, Asian-based films, and you see a lot of stunt work, but is there really a large contingent of Asian stunt performers within? Now, I'm not talking about um, in Hollywood. Is there a large contingent of Asian stunt performers in Hollywood, or normally when I'll just use a movie like a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'm sure there have been movies after that, but I loved it so much. I'll just use that one. Where, if you know this, where did they have to go in order to get stunt performers to actually fill those roles? Did they have to go outside of Hollywood in order to do that?
Well, the thing is, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and in those films, there that was shot in China. So like the Chinese had their own like community of
Right.
stunt performers. Especially Hong Kong. Hong Kong performers are world renowned, and like anywhere else, they work in cliques, they
Hmm.
work in teams, and I think as long as like anywhere else, as long as the producers are connected, they get connected to the people that can um, do the job for them.
Hmm.
Hollywood, uh, I know back in the day when I was watching all these older action movies, um, there's not too much a big Asian presence, but LA was the hub for anything like like martial arts or action oriented. And I think there's a huge community of stunt performers over there, especially Asian stunt performers
Hmm.
um, that that are more than equipped to make these action sequences really come to life. Um, is there a big demand for Asian, stunt performers? Actually, it's not even a demand. I think the demand could be there, but the how you say the general consensus, or rather the most important, like point blank, Hollywood is not shooting movies that Asian stunt performers can work on.
Right.
Like there's not like, yeah, like there's jobs where, like, oh, okay, we can throw in this Asian guy over here, but there's not a lot of productions that that show Asian or highlight Asian stunt performers.
Hmm. Hmm.
Unless you get like an anomaly like Shang Chi, or like what's it called, Everything Everywhere All at Once. They had like great stunt performers on there, or even like any of the Marvel series, which highlighted like like as like a huge gang fight scene or something like that. That's usually where we can shine, or any sort of like those action thrillers. But um, those movies and productions are actually far and few.
Hmm. And you know what? That is why I'm really excited about the work that we're about to embark on, because there is such a wide array. The area, it's like a new vista, because it's so wide open, and it's like you have all of these different diverse groups of people. And for so long, it's like what Sure would say, the powers that be, well, I don't know of any fill in the blank. So she created Women of Color Unite, and now we have Men of Color Unite, because what we're saying is we're going to take that excuse away from you. That if you're saying, well, I don't know where I can find me an Asian stunt performer, or I don't know where I can find me an African American cinematographer, female, male, doesn't matter. And our thing is, okay, well, if you don't know, we have this nice list of people beautifully put together in one place where you can go down the list and pick. And one of the things that I love about it, and I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about that. Um, I want to go back for a little bit to the start, and everything that you had to do in order to get here, because you've worked some interesting jobs. But before I get to that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say what I just said that I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about it right now, because we're still kind of new in the process of getting everything together for Men of Color Unite. So, what I would not talk about, we will definitely be talking about it, because in the future, we're going to have uh, a couple of members of Men of Color Unite on the podcast. We're going to do a big thing, and we're going to have about 5 or 6 or 7, or how many people I can get on here, and then we'll be able to talk about it a little bit more. But I just don't want to kind of give you guys like half sentences and half things, and I don't want to be cryptic. So that's the only reason that I said I didn't want to talk about it. But back to where you've traveled from in order to be in this space right now. Because again, I was listening to another interview that you did uh, with some of the interesting jobs that you've had, and I just want you to tell people a little bit about that, the journey that led you where you are right now to this point.
Oh man, um, my background has always been, like from when I was old enough to work. Uh, I worked everything from manufacturing jobs to restaurant jobs. I was in the restaurant industry for 12 years. I worked my way up from a dishwasher to busboy to waiter to front of the house manager at, at restaurants growing up. And then I moved to New York, and unfortunately, you had to have New York City experience in order to be hired to work in a restaurant. I was like, I have New York experience, I've got New York City experience, but does that count?
Okay,
Uh,
so really quickly, what the hell is that?
um, I guess dealing with like high high like turnover rate, um, mass volumes of customers. They want you to work fast. New York City
Got
is
it.
a beast and monster of a city of its own, and people want to know that you have the experience and the know-how to handle that sort of traffic,
Okay.
which I understand. So I tried to apply for jobs like that, but I couldn't. I wasn't able to do that. And one of the first jobs I actually got moving to New York was cleaning porta potties. Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. So it's not my proudest moment, but best believe I came out of that appreciating any other job I took afterwards. Um, so I cleaned porta potties. I taught after school programs for kids for martial arts. I taught tumbling. I taught gymnastics classes, um, and then I did courier bike messaging. So I was a bike messenger here in New York. for a few years, and that was a whole skill set on itself. And let me tell everybody on here, you have not seen New York until you've explored it on a bike.
Hmm.
It's like if I can compare it to anything, I would say it's like surfing.
Hmm.
You know, like the way the city moves, the way the people move, you have to understand, and you have to have such a strong foundation and amount of trust in yourself that like that's only one piece of the puzzle. How can you go out there, put yourself in danger, understandably so, um, let alone for $1. Like people won't even get on bikes just for fun. But when you have to do this for money, you have to have something clicks. And the more skills and the more understanding you have when it comes to doing your job um, as a courier, it really pays to understand how the city moves. Like in New York, I can tell you that streets um, streets on even numbers run west to east, whereas streets on odd numbers run east to west. Avenues, like the even avenues, um, they would run what's it called, south to north, where odd avenues run north to south.
Hmm.
Broadway goes south up until 60th Street. Then you got like north and south traffic, and it's little things like that. You learn where the flight elevator entrances are, the messaging entrances are, and and little nuances like that. Because at the end of the day, like any job, time is money, and the faster you can deliver a package, the faster you can move on to the next, and the more packages you can deliver. And that's that was actually that's probably the most eye opening and most probably the most dangerous and fun job that I ever had.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. So how long did you do that?
I did it for like 4 years.
Okay.
4 years. At the same time, I was doing stunts, and at the same time, I was starting CrewMeUp. Actually,
Okay. So
yeah.
so you know what? How did that all of those jobs prepare you for where you are right now?
Let's see.
Is there a party going on back there? Boy,
Oh,
you
I mean, I'm in a hotel lobby.
oh, okay. I'm like, man,
Yeah,
I
I
need a ticket to
apologize to
that
the
one.
noise.
No, I need a ticket to that place. Like,
Hey,
what's
man, you're more than welcome. um, let's see. How did all this prepare me for what? For CrewMeUp or for like my life now
for
here?
your actual life in the business? Because I remember some of the jobs that I've had and even the job that I work now. And it has really taught me quite a bit with my film endeavors. So how did all of those different jobs prepare you for what you're doing now? The fact that you're a bike messenger for 4 years, but it's a little deeper than that. You have to be quick. You have to be decisive. You have to make a decision now because if you hesitate, that could be the what am I looking for? What I'm looking at? That could be the difference between you delivering one packages or two. So how did you transfer all of that to your film career?
Versatility, and being able to adapt to any quick and shift in operations. You know, um, for better or for worse, I am. I have always been not necessarily like I don't think the word is impulsive, but I have always been a reactive person. I have always been quick on my feet, um, which 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 is a blessing and a curse in itself. I've always been focused on solving a problem as it comes on, um, as opposed to being preventative, which comes with its own, ups and downs and benefits, the pros and cons. How it prepared me, I would say, being able to face challenges head on, um, and think on a more broader scale. You know, I the way if I can apply the things that I learned being a bike messenger, it applies very well uh, in the startup space. You know, if I want to do my job, due diligence is important. Research, um, knowing what you're getting into, how to develop certain things. You know, like everything down from like social media marketing strategies to marketing strategies, talk to legal, business formation, all these kinds of things are things that I've not been privy to before, but I had to learn in order to thrive and survive. You know, in order to get to the next level. And I think that's one thing all these other jobs taught me. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily um, what you do, but how you do it and how you
Right.
process it. You know, you got to make sure that you do everything you can and you prepare as much as you can in order to not say not and not just settle for what exactly it is you have in front of you. You know, it's like what we talk about all the time on Clubhouse. If you get an opportunity and you're not prepared for it, the most you can make out of that opportunity is like you benefit only like if we could set an amount to it, 10%. You can only take advantage of 10% of that opportunity. Which, if you're more knowledgeable, if you were more disciplined, or if you were more prepared, you could 100% take advantage of that opportunity, and you could thrive. And that's a real big deal. That's one takeaway I take from and I'm learning this every single day.
Hmm.
You know, every single day is a learning process. There are a lot of things I don't know. Honestly, between you, me, and everybody here, I didn't own a laptop until I started CrewMeUp. Yeah, I've never
Wow.
owned a laptop of my own. You know, I've always been able to type. I can do like, just like basic stuff. But I have not owned a laptop until I started CrewMeUp, and that was a learning curve. Establishing or like uh setting up a freaking corporation or like you know that's that's a learning curve, and I just yeah. Trust me, it's been a whirlwind.
Oh yeah. You know what? Well, I've had a computer a little bit longer than that, but I'm still learning. Um, there's just certain things, and it's so funny because I have two daughters, and sometimes when I would get stuck, I would go to my kids and I would say, "Hey, well, how do you do this?" I'm like, "Oh, good grief, Dad!" And they take the computer, and 2 seconds later, bip, 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 and it's done. So I get it. So what's next for you and your partner Josh with Crew Me Up? Because what was the name of the app that you guys are going to add in addition to Crew Me Up, the soft launch that's coming? What was the name of that again?
Oh no, uh, what app? I think it's just right now it's just CrewMeUp 2.0. So we have CrewMeUp 1.0, and that's uh that was like the first edition that we did when we got together, Josh
Okay.
and I. Yeah, we launched in March of 2020. We knew what happened then. Grew to 5,000 users, and CrewMeUp 2.0. Um, we're approaching it in a different light.
Okay.
It's more community based, and we're highlighting functionalities like groups, a new hiring management system,
Okay.
yeah, and just a place where vendors can also highlight themselves as well
Okay.
and make themselves known.
Okay. So what's next
So,
on the horizon? What's
oh
next?
man, we have a lot of things, on the horizon. New partnerships. Looking to work more closely with our friends in various nonprofit organizations, education, and making sure um, making sure we support the community as best as we can.
Hmm.
We want to make sure that everybody that is in this industry is equipped to thrive, not just stay afloat, not just to get by, but to thrive.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Times are only getting tougher, and the only thing that we can do is look out for each other. That's the best thing we can do, not the only thing we can do.
absolutely. Because as you said, things are getting tougher, and things are really heating up for people of color in this industry. And the only way that we're actually going to thrive and make inroads is if we actually band together. But I know you're probably about. Are you doing the mixer tonight? Okay,
Yes, I am.
okay, okay.
I'm literally right across the street from there.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I would have loved to have come up and been a part of that, but unfortunately I could not. But I'm definitely going to have to get to New York, man. Every time it's amazing. When you came to Philadelphia, I was supposed to come to the mixer and ended up leaving my bag with my clothes at home. And when I got to work, I said I left my damn clothes home. And where I live, by the time I had would have driven home, did all of that and shower, it would have been over with. So I said, well, you know what? I'll catch them on the next go round. And also, before we go, we had talked last year, myself, and Eli and Lou, the two young ladies, the twins. That has not gone away, but they have been so ridiculously busy that their star is really rising. So I'm at the point now where even though we're going into business together, I have to make an appointment to see these young ladies. But Voravong, it was an absolute pleasure having you here, my brother. We're going to definitely have to do this again, and I would love for you to have. We're going to have Josh on the next time so we can really, really, really do a deep dive into the CrewMeUp app. I wanted to talk a little bit about the CrewMeUp app, but I
Hmm.
really wanted to talk about you. But before we go, your last name.
Hmm.
There is a story with
Yes.
your last name. So I would like for you to share with the audience exactly what that last name carries with it.
So my last name, Nachampassak, is actually from a region in Laos called Champasak. We were I think he was my great uncle. He was the he was the uh, last prince of Laos, and he was there. So he was we were the last of the royal family.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you actually are listening to the descendants of a royal family. See, I have the best guests on my podcast. I'm telling you, man, y'all need to listen and subscribe. I have royalty on my podcast. I have heads of corporations. People sleeping on me, but that's okay. But that's
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, my brother, it has been an absolute pleasure. And again, Clubhouse has been such a blessing because it has brought me into the presence of people such as yourself and all of those awesome and phenomenal people that I'll be seeing next week. So any parting words, any advice for any filmmaker out there in this space looking to do it?
Um, go for it. Honestly, just go for it. You are not limited by the words of those around you. And if you're surrounded by people or naysayers, just change your environment. Change your circle, and surround yourself with people that want to see you grow, that want to see you thrive, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. My co-founder tells me all the time, it's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay to make the same one, and that's something that I'm trying to take to heart. Yeah.
Beautifully
So.
said, and words to live by. And ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining me tonight on a conversation with the royal Mr. Vor- with royal Mr. Voravong. It has been an absolute pleasure. Oh, before we go, where can people find you and where can people get the app for CrewMeUp?
Hey, just visit our website, www.crewmeup.com. Both Android and Apple links are on there. And you can hit us up on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Um, yeah, all the social feeds.
At
So connect
CrewMeUp.
with us. And yes, at CrewMeUp, CrewMeup. Let us know how we can help. Let us know how we can support. We're here to serve.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you're a filmmaker anywhere in this space, please take advantage of that resource. It is a free resource. You can't get better than free 99. It's a free resource. And if you're looking to really have your product, as I like to call films, because it is a product, if you want the best product, then go to somewhere where you can actually get the best people within your budget range, which is even more phenomenal. But again, Voravong, my brother, thank you so much. Tell everyone that I said hello. Can't wait to hook up,
Absolutely.
bro. We're going to definitely have to. I'm going to have to take a trip up in New York so me, you, and Craig can sit down and and
Yes,
and
please.
and toss some back. But you enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll be talking because we definitely have to talk about some things. But
Absolutely.
all right, brother, you have a
Okay, brother.
phenomenal night. All right,
You too.
peace.
Peace.